Flosstube. You have stumbled upon FrallaKnits. My name is Stephanie. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a multi-crafter living in Atlantic, Canada. I am back after only a month away, which is better than the last time. And this is episode number 16, and I'd like to welcome everyone who's new and welcome back to anyone who is returning. I'm hoping to make these, slightly more regular, but we'll see how that goes. Like I said, it's been about a month, and for the first 2 weeks after talking with you last time, I was fairly monogamous in my stitching. So I got a lot of progress on a very exciting project, but I was kind of putting off, filming a video because I didn't think I had much to talk about. So that was for the first 2 weeks. Since then, I'm surrounded by whips. So yay, we have things to talk about. So today I have, whips, and I do have a new start and haul, very small haul. I mentioned in my last video that I recently destashed a bunch of my stash, a lot of fabrics, patterns, projects. I got rid of a bunch just because I felt overwhelmed. And shortly after that, the things that I was capable of stitching flipped. So basically I had gotten rid of a lot of lower count, bigger holes projects, and kept a lot of my higher counts. And since then, my eyesight's been not fantastic. And so I am now finding myself gravitating towards 14, 16 count Aida instead of the 40 count linen. And I've found myself with not as many projects. Anyways, rambling, sorry. I am going away for a couple of weeks at the end of this week. So my brain is everywhere but here, but I am happy to share with you what I've been working on. So yeah, I have whips, new start haul, a little bit of knitting, and then a segment that I will lovingly call distractions, which we'll get to at the end. So starting first things first, I want to share something very exciting with you. My first whip, this is what took most of my, I'm just gonna take it out of the Q-snap here. This is what took most of my attention for that first 2 weeks after my last video. This is Come to the Garden by Teresa Kogut, and I am doing a floss conversion to blues and periwinkles. And it's not like a one-for-one conversion. I have a whole pile of flosses. Sorry, I'm just grabbing my board here. I have a whole pile of flosses that I am pulling from, and I just, whenever I get to a motif, I will grab what is calling to me. So here is where I am. I worked all over the place on this. So I believe the last time I was here, I had this bird, I had some of this basket, I had a little bit of this motif. So what I did, I wanted to get more colors on to the pattern. So I came down here to work on some of this dark, dark, dark in this flower. Hey, see this guy? That's what took a lot of stitching, and also I'm super excited about. So in the pattern, the original pattern, which is beautiful, I just wanted different, there is an angel up here. Now, it didn't really go with me and the colors that I had chosen. So I was looking for a moon. And what I did is I first looked through all of Teresa Kogut's patterns, hoping to find a moon kind of in the similar vein as how she designs. And my intention was to find one, buy the pattern, steal the moon, and plop it in here. However, no such luck. So then I just started looking for any other designer that may have a primitive type moon in a pattern that I could buy. No such luck. So then I ended up on Pinterest where I found a picture of someone who had put this moon into their project. So I couldn't find the pattern. If anyone knows, please, I'd love to give them credit. It's beautiful. Anyways, I couldn't find the pattern that included this moon for me to purchase, so I printed it off super big and used it as a pattern. So that is my moon that I put in, and I think she looks great. Also, I also worked a bit on the border, actually quite a bit on the border. What I wanted, so like I said, I wanted to get some different colors in. I wanted to try out this really dark. And then I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to try and get the bones of the border all the way around. Valiant attempt. So I was going along with this gray in there. And then I would come along with this kind of like dark purple in behind, just to kind of, so I didn't have to worry about miscounting. I could always make sure that they were matching up as I went. And it was going great. And then I got to the top and I thought, you know what? Let's see if we can find something to put there. So there she is. It's my lovely moon. And yeah, I worked on it a ton. I intend to work on it a bunch more. But I decided, you know what, I should probably find some other things to work on as well, just so I had, you know, some more excitement to share with you guys. So on to the next whip that you have seen. It is, let's see, Pomarium, which is a chatelaine that I am working on. And I am mostly in this center here, where it's a lot of greens and teals and greeny teals and tealy greens and blues. And I was basically going through and filling in sort of any holes that I had in the pattern, in the stitching. So this is mostly kitted up with the called for. I bought a kit, I believe I bought the kit minus the Glorianas from European Cross Stitch, is that what they're called? They kit them up for you? But I didn't want to wait for the Glorianas. And I started this a couple of years ago. So I was sourcing the Glorianas myself and got probably 80% of them and was just having problems with the supply issues that people seem to have with Glorianas. So when I was stitching, I was kind of, you know, skipping over the colors I didn't have. But now that I really do want to make some progress on this, what I've done is I've just pulled some cotton flosses that were similar colors to the Glorianas I did not have, and I'm using them, you know, as you would. And I love the progress that I am making. And look, it's not green and blue. I was so happy to put just a little bit of pink in there. This is a dinky dye. And I think the color was ruby. I can't remember. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of sparkly threads up in that corner. Whole bunch of sparkly threads throughout the whole thing. So what I worked on this last month is kind of filling in all around here. You can see where I've filled in here with, these are actually eyelets and they're supposed to be dense road stitches. And I don't know what I did. I don't know how I messed it up. You would never notice unless I showed you. However, I'm kind of kicking myself because I'm thinking the dense road stitches would be easier to do than all of these eyelets, but because I did them on one, I'm now having to do them on all of the others. So, yeah, that's where we are. These are Jessica stitches up here in the pink, and there's a bunch of Jessica stitches that I got done in around here. Oh, that you can really see them there. There we go. So yeah, this is a lot of fun. I'm stitching this on a 28 count, just white or antique white linen. I can see it great. I am super enjoying stitching on it. And yeah, I'm so happy to have something that's not, I mean, I love blues and teals and greens, but just a little bit of pink for me. Thank you. All right, so that was whip number 2 that I was working on. Then we'll continue with some more whips that I have not shown in a while on this channel because I have not worked on them in a while. I was watching Caroline from Caroline Stitching Corner and Lisa, her channel is Crossed by Floss, and they were both talking about temperature stitching. And, you know, I kind of thought of temperature stitching. I'm so used to seeing, you know, what are they? It's, you know, you'd stitch a color a day based on what the temperature is outside, and that has never really interested me. But it was odd because these 2 stitchers were talking about their temperature stitching, and it had nothing to do with the, with the, you know, stitching a motif a day. I thought, oh, well, this is interesting. So I don't know who started this, but basically, like I said, I saw these 2 stitchers doing it. And basically what you do is when you have time to sit down and stitch, you pull out your phone or whatever, or sorry, that's what I've been doing. I've been pulling out my phone, and you take the last digit of whatever the temperature is. So 0 through 9. And then you have 10 projects that correspond to those digits, and that's what you stitch on for a thread or 2. And it's been great motivation for me. I've been doing it for, let's see, 10 days. Yes, I'm just looking at my planner here. For the last 10 days. And, you know, picking out projects that I would otherwise not be working on. A lot of smaller things. And yeah, so it's been really enjoyable. So I will go through what I've worked on. So in the last 10 days, I've worked on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different projects. Just based on what the temperature is when I sit down. Sorry, I just realized all of my zippers are still, oh well. Oh, well, you know. So first, not necessarily the first that I worked on, but first in my bag, Mushroom Meadow by Stitchy Princess. And this is on, what are you? 14 count Vintage Country Mocha Ada. And let's just put it against the project bag. Whoa. So here's where we are. I believe all I worked on, I just pulled this out one day out of the last 10, and all I worked on was this motif here. So I'm stitching this, like I said, Vintage Country Mocha, all the called for DMCs. I will say, you know, this is probably just a printer thing, but the mushrooms are much redder than the colors that are called for. I kind of like the reddish more, but I mean, this is also nice. It's just that they're more brown. But I mean, this is not necessarily what my style is these days anymore, but it is fabric that I can see. It's a project that is enjoyable to stitch, so it works. All right, so that's Mushroom Meadow. And the next in my temperature stitching basket that I worked on, Hunt for the Butterfly by Owl Stitching House. So he will look like this. Cute. And I am stitching this one with the called for colors on 32 count lamb's wool linen. And let's see where this guy is. You go. What way do you go? You go this way? Yes. There. I think all I did when I pulled it out this time, so the light's a bit funky in here. I just filled in, I think in over here, in the kind of dark reddish, purplish brown. Yeah, so, I mean, holy cow, I've done that little bit there, but, you know, stitches are stitches, and I'll be pulling this out, you know, I'm working on it bit by bit, and it's getting more progress than it would if I wasn't pulling it out. All right. Next up in here is Prairie Schooler St. Nicholas. So this is, they're 8 ornaments. Oh, glare. In here, and I am working on, well, actually I've started all of them, but the one that I worked on most recently is, oh, I think he's this guy up here. So let's see if I was right. I have them all, they're all tucked in the back here. Yep, there we go. So here's where I am. I believe when I pulled this guy out, I basically, you can see all my half stitches here. I came down one side of his jacket and across and up the other, just so I've now outlined it, and I can just, when it gets called, I can just pull it out and fill it in, and no need for the pattern, which is nice. I do this stitching, you know, first thing in the morning when I'm having my coffee. And then I get a thread or two in, and then I move on to, you know, life. Or if I am not ready to life yet, other stitching, my other whips. That's 16 count Ada Oatmeal Rustico. Alrighty, you're back. Next one. Okay, so this one, this is the one that was called today, this morning. This is Beach Blessing by Erica Michaels, and I love it. I pulled all my own colors for this. I believe it's a blend of Roxy Floss and hand dyed by Rolanda. I love it. I would love to have it because it just totally reminds me of the cottage, which is where we will be spending most of our time from here going forward. So anyways, so here's where I am. And today, when I pulled it out, I was working in this blue. So I did this motif and these 2 squiggly boops. This is on a 38 count. I'm using 1 strand over 2, and it was hard for me to see, which made me cry. I didn't realize what fabric it was on when I kind of chose this as part of my temperature stitching. I just, I knew that this is a project that I wanted finished so that I could have it at my cottage. But yeah, it was really rough on me being able to focus or not being able to focus. So I'm gonna, you know, I'll keep it in the rotation. I'll see how it is the next time I pull it out, but yeah, we'll see. So not 38. 36 count linen, sorry. Colorway's Acorn by hand dyed by Rolanda. That way. So yeah, it's cute. But if I can't see, I just get frustrated. Anyways, that's that. This is a very apt bag too. So that's excellent. Okay, next up. Did I work on? Yes. This is another Stitchy Princess. This is the Acorn Fairy. There she is. She is cute, and she got pulled out actually a few times. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 times. So I have finished her, and I added a bunny. So there she is. Hee hee. All the called for DMCs. And yeah, what fabric is this guy? This is 32 Vintage Sahara, 32 count linen Vintage Sahara. So, I mean, the 32, I'm not having as much problems as the 36. And also this is a much lighter. It could also just be how my eyes are feeling at the time. But yeah, there she is. Cute. I am really grateful that I found this cool way. I know of the, 25 minutes a day, the project, anyways, the, pulling out, put a thread in, one project every day just to kind of make progress on it. But I don't know, something about having like the option of 10 and not knowing what you're going to work on is kind of been a lot of fun. Okay, what else have I? Okay, we have two more that got pulled in this month, in the last 10 days. This is a horrible, my printer did not do great. All the Colors of Christmas. Ooh, that is not delightful. And this one only got called once, and I can't, let's see, who did I work on? I think it was the, this ice skater. And there she is. So, I mean, again, I had a very small start in this, and I think I put the white in. So there we go. And last but not least, for the ones that got called, is a Needle Bling Designs. It's called This Is Us. And I think it got called twice, this one. I am using 2 colors of Roxy. One is Obsidian and one is Sangria. And so far I only have Obsidian in because all I have, so when I pulled this out, all I had was Our, and now I have an I and like a third of an S. So yeah, I mean, any progress is progress. Right. So that's been fun. I hope that I'll be able to keep up with these. I guess the goal is to, work on these projects till you get a finish. And then once you do, just substitute in another project. And that is my intention. Like I said, I'm going to be going away for a couple of weeks. And I will not be bringing my basket of 10 temperature whips. What I probably will be bringing with me is my new start, because really, I only need to bring one project, maybe 2. So, like I said, I am only able to really stitch on, lower count, fabrics right now comfortably. And I was feeling a bit forlorn because there was I don't know. It's not that I was feeling burnt out on the Come to the Garden. It was that I just wanted some variety. I wanted some pretty, I'm working on all blues and purples in that one, and I love it. I just wanted something else. So I am having a no-buy, which I started at the end of last year in the fall. And so like, I really, really, really don't want to bring more stuff into my house. But at the same time, like I said, I destashed a bunch and now I'm having problems working on stuff I still have. So I went and got a pattern and some fabric. But, here, let me tell you what it is. It's Oh Joyous Day by Blackbird Designs. My partner and I are fairly fortunate that we are going to be able to be looking at possibly not working anymore in the next year or 2. So, Oh Joyous Day, I'm hoping to get some retirement dates in here, possibly when this is done. So I bought the pattern And I bought fabric for it. What I didn't have to buy was floss for it. I am doing my own conversion. Again, it's not a one-to-one conversion, but what I am doing is I am using, these are the flosses from the Roxy Floss, Modern Folk Embroidery, and Evertote Christmas box from 2024. And I've done this before. I didn't get their box in 2023. I did get it in 22. And I used those flosses in, I'm doing my own conversion on another whip. And so it's great. So I took these because they're the artists and they can put colors together. And so, yeah, it's been fun. I get to use these that I believe, you know, the people that know better than me thought they all looked great together. So here is where I am. I started at the bottom. Oh, so wrinkly. I just took it out of the Q-snap. Yeah, so again, not a one-to-one conversion. I'm just kind of pulling what it is that I want and stitching. So this is on a 14 count vintage country mocha. I was going to get 16, but the piece that my needle workshop had wasn't big enough. Or actually I would have to put it with the modeling going that way, and we agreed that it looked like muddy rain. So I wanted the modeling to be going horizontally. And yeah, so here's, let me, oh. Can you tell this is my first day? All right, let me just pull this out of the plastic here. So here is, you know, what the pattern called for that first flower. And oh my gosh, I'm such a mess. I kind of went with it. You know, I got the red with a light inside. And yeah, but then I love yellow. So that's what I went for the next guy. And this awesome pack of floss has got some really fun, like, purples in there, purpley blues, tons of pinks to choose from. I love pink. And I am loving these two yellows. Which I think I used the lighter one for the yellow in here, the golden yellow. But so anyways, all that to say, I would love to have a colorful garden at the bottom, but I also don't want it to be like total extreme chaos. So I stitched those two flowers, and I'm just doing the stems for these three. And I'm going to come back and choose colors for the blooms later. So once I get those across, I am going to skip over the alphabet. I'm going to leave space for the alphabet. I just haven't figured out whether I'm going to put the alphabet there or if I'm going to, you know, put dates or words or whatnot. So I'm going to come up to the bird, and I definitely want some blue and that kind of goldy in the bird. And then I want to figure out what color I'm going to do the house. And yeah, we'll go from there. So I think once I get those two in, I'll feel more confident with what colors to do the rest of the flowers. Same thing with the border. There's some good, like, who is this? Pinot Noir. It's like a really dark, like wine Pinot Noir color, which I think is gorgeous. That might be great for the border, just to kind of tie everything together. And, or if I wanted to pull out a blue to put that in. So I don't know what color to do the border until I get more colors on the inside and see what, you know, shade I want to highlight. There's my big rambly. So this is probably what I'm going to be taking on my trip. And I may bring another start. I may bring another start, although it's kind of a restart, but I may bring that. I may also bring Come to the Garden. I'm not sure, but for sure this is going to be coming with me. Oh, Joyous Day. Okay. So yes. So my haul was the fabric for this and the pattern. And then I got one more piece of fabric in haul from my local needle workshop. I am spoiled. I have 2 local needle workshops. The Stitch Bug is the one where I got my fabrics from. And there's another shop that used to be all online, which was fantastic. You could just order and then I would drive like 10 minutes to pick it up from the house of the person that owned the shop. And they have since moved that online store to kind of combine with one of the 2 physical quilting shops that I have locally. So yeah, I am spoiled for crafting supplies. So the other part of my haul was 14 count Ada that was test dyed. It was I believe that the Stitch Bug dyed this themselves. So it's just kind of like a mottled blue, awesome. And my plan for this is I'll see if I can find a picture. The Long Way Home is a pattern that I have had in my stash for a while. And I started it on probably a 40 count something. Just a really small start. I think I got one of the Quaker motifs done. But again, can't see very well. And I love the pattern and I want to do that pattern. And I just realized, you know, instead of kind of being sad that I can't see the fabric properly, why don't I just start it on something that I can see? So right now it's on like a antique white neutral something. I'm going to throw it on this, I think. I don't know if I'll use this same thread pack or if I know I have threads pulled for it, which aren't the called for, but they're with the pattern. So I might look at doing those. I may just pull as I go. I may not start this at all. What we are doing in a couple weeks, like I said, I live on the east coast of Canada and my parents live in BC. I was born and raised in Vancouver, which is west coast. And so we are flying out to my parents who now live in the interior of BC, about 5 hours from the coast. We're going to fly out there and we are going to drive their car back here. They also own a house in the city that I live in now. And so we're going to drive. When they were here in the fall, they drove their car back to BC, across Canada, one direction. And with the understanding that my partner and I would fly out there in May to pick up their car and drive it back. Because Canada is ginormous. And I would love to see it in one direction. Yeah, so anyways, we will be taking the long way home, long story long. And so I thought that would be a fun thing to restart that pattern on this trip. But at the same time, I'm loving the things I have going on. So we'll see. It'll be a surprise to you and I. Yeah. So next up, that's all I had for stitching. The only other crafty thing I worked on was knitting, and I did no quilting. We're trying to get our house ready to sell. And so I have basically packed up basically all of my quilting stuff. Just my realtor pointed out, you are going to be moving, so before we list it, you might as well just pack everything up. I'm like, okay, sure. So yeah, no quilting. So this big beast, this is the Campfire Cozy shawl. It is not quite as orange as the light is leading you to believe. It's a beautiful red, and I am just about done. I have one more ball of yarn, and these rows are ginormous. So I think it needs maybe a handful of more ribbing rows and then bind off and I'm done. I was hoping to have this done for our trip. I figured a nice big red shawl would be great to have to throw on as I'm driving across Canada. Yeah, so that's just about done. Hopefully it will be finished the next time that I see you, and it won't be, you know, partway through a row like the pro that I am has it now. All right, so that's it for the crafting stuff. On to my alluded to distractions, the things that have kept me from crafting. Hilariously are not crafting related at all. However, I found both of them through Flosstube. So thanks, guys. So the first thing that has taken up way too many hours of my life, but I'm loving it. I am thoroughly enjoying it. I was watching the Thread Gremlins, and Elizabeth mentioned that she was playing a video game called The Blueprints. And she described it as being very similar to Myst. It's like a puzzle game. Oh my goodness. I used to play Myst when I was growing up and I loved it. And so you want to describe a game as Myst-like? Sign me up. I got it and it is so much fun. It's all these, it's like you're in an escape room with a whole bunch of puzzles. It's very open-ended. I got to what you would think is the end, was like the main goal of the game. And no, there are hours and hours and hours and hours of playtime past that. Anyways, if you enjoy puzzle games, highly recommend. It will take away from all of your stitching time. The second thing that hasn't taken as much time away, but I can see that happening in the future over the summer, is a board game that I just got on a Kickstarter reprint called Mythwind. Now this one was recommended by Melanie and Michael of Uplift Stitches. They mentioned it. They're great. So they talk all about their Flosstube stuff, stitching, and at the end they talk about board games. I love board games. It's one of my other, time sink, money sink hobbies. So they were talking, this was probably a year ago, that they had gotten the original Kickstarter release of Mythwind, and they mentioned that there was going to be a re-release with some, add-ons and that. And it's a co-op game, which I love. And the artwork looked great. Anyways, I ordered it when they mentioned it, I don't know how long ago. And it finally arrived last week, I want to say. So far, all I've done is open the box and kind of watched a couple of playthrough videos, setup videos, started kind of playing, figuring out how the mechanics work, but I didn't want to get too much into it because we are going away. I figured if I was learning a lot of it now, I would probably forget a lot of what I had learned by the time we get back. So thanks, Melanie and Michael. That will definitely be, distracting me all through the summer. And Elizabeth, holy cow, the Blueprints. I highly recommend everyone going out and playing if that is your jam. So much fun. Kind of just want to go play right now. So I guess I will. I will log off for now. Thank you very much for joining me. And it's been about a month. It'll probably be a about another month. We plan to be back from our trip end-ish of May, and on the last weekend of May, I'm actually doing a 3-night backpacking, oh my goodness, backpacking hike with a few families from our homeschool group. And so I'm sure I will have lots of fun stories to share when I get back from that. So yeah, it probably won't be until June that I see you again, but until then, happy stitching. Take care of yourselves, and yeah, thanks for stopping by. See ya.